Okay, hi everyone, welcome back, and in this update we are going to check out Internet Computer's price chart and especially the recent move because I think it does actually have a lot of very important messages in it. But before we get into all that, we are going to real quick talk about this important tweet from Dominic Williams that says we are approaching Web3's first breakout mass market use case that doesn't really depend on speculation, meaning you build something on it because you actually want to and potentially you need to build something on it. And he says, strangely, we are hitting max FUD for ICP at the same time. And if you know this industry, you will know that might not be necessarily a coincidence. And he says, at the end, hang in there. Now, here's the situation. I'm going to be honest with you. I think he does actually have a point, and I had definitely my fair share of encountering with some sponsorships that were like really bizarre. For example, there was actually one person that said, I need you, for example, to do this kind of video on a specific coin, and not mention to your audience that this video, for example, is sponsored. But again, since I kind of live in a country where not mentioning that, for example, this video is sponsored is going to kind of get me in a bit of trouble, I said, no, absolutely not. And I'll be honest with you, even morally, that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. Don't get me wrong. I think getting a sponsorships is absolutely fine as long as you are straight with your audience and you are telling them, look, this video is sponsored, they have paid me to say this or that. And I think you're even fine not really talking about how much are you getting paid, but I think you definitely have to tell your audience that your content is sponsored. And this actually real quick reminded me of that person that said in the comment, I am 100% getting paid by Definity. And I said no. And like, do not get me wrong, I 100% understand your pessimism in this market because there are indeed a lot of content creators that are getting paid by people and specific projects and they don't really mention it. So when Dominic says in here that having this amount of FUD in ICP right when we are going to have a massive breakout may not be necessarily a coincidence, I'll be honest with you, I actually believe it. Now, here's a question. What is going on in terms of whale activities? Because ultimately, if bigger players are buying the token, then okay, that means we should be in a good place, right? Well, let's check them out one by one. And as you can see, this is the total supply held by whales, meaning the ones that are holding somewhere between 10 to 100k ICP in their accounts. And since, let's say, mid-June, we have been in a steadily uptrend, despite the fact that in terms of price charts, we have actually seen a bit of a downtrend. Now, how about these people, which are the ones that have more than 1 million ICP tokens in their account, and their number recently just went up. Now we have in ICP ecosystem about 78 wallets who have over 1 million tokens. So again, seems like that these people also have been in accumulation phase. And how about this group, which are the investors that have somewhere between 100k to about 1 million ICP token? And as you can see, their total supply has also been in a very beautiful looking steady uptrend. So what's the conclusion in here? Seems like that all kinds of whales are at the moment buying ICP. And you might ask, well, okay, why is it that they don't just jack the price up? Well, okay, here's a question for you. Why should they? Honestly, as long as there are some people who are willing to sell at these cheap prices, well, okay, if I'm a whale, I would absolutely prefer to just be patient and take every single thing step by step and not necessarily buy in big volumes, because if I buy one step at a time, odds are I am going to accumulate more and more ICP tokens around the lows. So why would I, as I will, actually buy all at once and jack the price up? That doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. The point that I'm trying to make is this. It seems like that big players definitely know something that we don't. Otherwise, around the lows, they wouldn't be all of them at the same time big buyers. That doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. So I'm going to argue they are probably anticipating a very much successful launch of the Caffeine AI, which, by the way, that is going to officially come out in about 20 days. And that freemium model that we talked about before, meaning if you want to build like a serious app, you need to pay a subscription fee, is going to go live, I think, by October 7th. And well, at that point, you should probably expect some serious token burning rate, which will be awesome. And let's see at that point, are we going to even for a very brief period of time get into a deflationary environment or not? So overall, I would say probably everything is going according to the bullish track except the price. And Dominic may or may not have a point, but you know what? Let's actually forget that. Let me just talk to you one-on-one. Here's a question. Are you at the moment bearish in ICP, and are you considering selling your tokens? If you are, then okay, answer me this. What has changed in here? Are we seeing something in terms of technical analysis that in other projects we're not seeing? Because I can definitely tell you that is not the case. When you look at a lot of other coins, they are also at the low. So we're not in a situation where, for example, only and only ICP is going down and setting lower lows. No, most of the altcoin market at the moment is like very silent, and price actions like this are, at least right now, quite typical. Now, on the other hand, let me ask you this. Has something changed in terms of fundamentals? Meaning, are we having some reasons to believe that maybe ICP is not going to be what we thought before, or maybe Caffeine AI is not going to have a successful launch and we're not going to have like massive amounts of adoption? If you have such a reason, may I ask, please share them in the comment section so we can also talk about it and know what is going on. So, you know, maybe you do actually have a point that we don't know. If you are also believing that in terms of fundamentals, however, nothing has changed, then okay, why is it exactly that you are considering selling your ICP tokens? Or let's say at least you are a bit disappointed. If the reason for that only and only comes down to the price, well, unfortunately, I don't have good news for you, my friends. That means your emotions are getting the best of you. And have a guess, please. If you want to go 100% according to your emotions, are you going to overall end up making a good bit of money? Well, based on experience, unfortunately, I am here to tell you, you will not. You are probably going to lose money in every step of your journey, which is definitely not ideal. So again, ask yourself this. Has something changed in ICP for us to flip bearish all of a sudden? If it hasn't, then okay, the bullish narrative still stays alive. And I think in about 20 days, when you are going to have the official freemium model launch of Caffeine AI, that bullish narrative hopefully is going to get stronger and stronger by the minute. So overall, I honestly do not believe that we are having anything to be worried about. And please, if you are seeing some FUD on Twitter, maybe you should actually close Twitter and do not really pay a whole lot of attention to what other people say. Listen to yourself, do your due diligence, come up with your own conclusion, and for that matter, please don't even listen to me. No, you should 100% do your research, come up with your own conclusion, and then if you thought then, okay, ICP is a good project and it does actually have a bright future, feel free to check out YouTube, Twitter, and other sources to find some news about it and be informed about what is going on in the ecosystem. Now, having said all that, let's talk about what is happening on the live chart, because, well, right away, I don't really think that I have the best news for you. And unfortunately, what we talked about in the previous videos, I'm going to argue basically played out. Why? If you remember, the last time that we talked about ICP, I think we were around these areas, and the idea was that so far we are in a beautiful looking ascending channel, which technically can be a bullish pattern. However, this is quite a weak channel, and the whole move on the upside is actually not that strong. Why? Okay, simple reason. Let's just measure this phase timing wise. There we go. This move up to about the highs took us about 550 candlesticks on 30-minute time frame. On the other hand, as you can see, in about, let's say, only 500 candles, we managed to have this move down starting from the highs. So to me, this suggests that bears are quite powerful, and that's why we said in ICP we should probably get a move down. And also, one very important reason for why we said odds are this is a correction structure. If we remember exactly, came down to the fact that we are constantly having between our pullbacks down just overlapping of the waves, which is definitely not a characteristic of an impulsive movement. So what happened? Unfortunately, since the last time we talked about internet computer, we got a breakdown of our channel, and I need you to pay attention to this. This seems to be quite a strong move on the downside, and I'm willing to bet if I just go on some lower time frames, I'm able to find an impulse. Yup, I can actually see the sub waves already. So this can be, in my view, a wave 1 followed by a correction for wave 2, and probably we are having like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave down into wave 3, correction for 4, and another move down into wave 5 to about this point. Followed by that, what is happening? Let's just go around here, excuse me. Okay, you see, if you want to argue that maybe I am wrong and in internet computer we are actually bullish, then okay, you have to be able to show me off of the lowest low a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave. This specific structure is called an impulsive movement. Rules for it are we should not have overlapping of the waves between wave 2 and 4, and in any kind of 5 wave or wave 3 is just not allowed to be the smallest wave. And in terms of the sub waves, you know what's going on. We're gonna have 5 wave up into wave 1, 3, and 5. And for our corrections for wave 2 and 4, we can have many different scenarios. Doesn't really matter. Let's say ABC into 4, and yeah, okay, sure, a WXY into wave 2. Now let's go on the live chart and see what do we have. And if we just more, okay, so here's the thing. I do think you can't argue maybe this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to about here, followed by most likely if you go on, for example, 5-minute time frame, you are able to find an ABC zigzag in here, and then another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave on the upside, and this is probably a correction structure. But here is a very important point. As you can see, we are absolutely having in here overlapping of the waves between this face down and also this one right in here. And pay attention, since in this move we haven't really by like a very small margin taken this important low, technically in ICP you are able to say, look, this is, for example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave up, not in form of an impulse, but in form of an expanding leading diagonal. However, for two very important reasons, I'm honestly not really a big fan of this possibility. Reason number one, pay attention. What do we have before this supposedly expanding leading diag? A 5 wave impulsive structure on the downside. And the only bullish scenario that you are able to maybe consider in ICP is if you say from this high, this is like an A, B, C in form of an expanded flat, and off of the lowest low we are having a 5 wave up. So I don't know, maybe this is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but as you can see, the shape of this 1, 2 looks really odd. So I think it is safe to say it shouldn't really be at least my primary case. Reason number two, this move down overall seems to be kind of slow and choppy, and sure, this is probably, excuse me, from here an A, B, C zigzag, and I am actually willing to bet that we are going to see a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave impulsive structure on the upside, which, yeah, okay, maybe it is going to fool a lot of people into believing that we are having an expanding leading diag and the final low is N, but not me. I'm at that point going to argue, look, in ICP, we are having probably an ABC up in this phase, followed by ABC down, and if this is going to be a 5 wave on the upside, well, okay, I think this might end up being the perfect recipe for, yep, you know it, an ABC flat structure, meaning overall, what do you have? 5 down, correction up. This is a bit of a bearish setup, suggesting right in here we should probably expect another move on the downside. Now, let me be very clear. This does not mean that in the midterm I am flipping bearish in ICP. Absolutely 100% not. In fact, I'm actually here to tell you this. No matter what is going to happen in the short term, I'm going to remain very much optimistic in ICP. And if we do end up getting another move on the downside, this, from my POV, if we are going to get, let's say, somewhere under 4.4 $4.2, is going to be a fantastic buy the dip opportunity, and I'm going to definitely at that point add some more ICP to my portfolio. And here is my final point. I'll be honest with you, in the perfect scenario in internet computer, I would actually love to see a move down in order to take the lowest low down here about $4.2. Why? Because that is going to really shake a lot of people out of their short-term trades, and it's going to make, probably, I'm going to say, a whole lot of investors also extremely angry. And it is exactly at those times that we are hitting our final low. So if we do end up going lower and take all the lows in here and gather all the liquidity under them, then okay, the picture from my POV is going to get a whole lot more clear and probably like much more bullish. So in the short term in internet computer, maybe in the next couple of hours, let's say even in the next 12 hours, we are going to have a move on the upside. But then if we see another move down, maybe like a 1 2 3 4 5, do not be surprised. That's just normal and part of the overall bullish process. And I hope I explained everything well and you understood what is going on in ICP's price chart. Anyway, if you found any value in my content, I would really appreciate if you like this video and consider subscribing to my channel and follow me on Twitter. And if you want more, maybe you want a complete analysis for your own specific crypto, or maybe you want to learn some decent TA in order to be able to make good money in the markets, you can become a member and ask me anything you want. And until the next update, I hope you have a wonderful time with your family and loved ones. Goodbye.